So I originally had 14 presets, like the Gemini controlled default. The upper manual presets were all the 7 buttons on the left. The lower manual presets were all the 7 buttons on the right. I assigned a lot of effects controls to drawbars, and I made one setting where those drawbars controlled the upper manual, and then another setup where those drawbars controlled the lower manual. And of course, as I said before, that started screwing with the VB3 mode because I would be excited pulling drawbars and all of a sudden I would have a phaser. So I finally decided that what I wanted was about 3 setups besides the VB3. 2 would be based on the combinations of instruments I wanted to play. The third, which I haven't done yet, would be just the synth. I want to play clav and Hammond at the same time, and EP and Hammond on the same time, synth and EP at the same time, and Vox and Rhodes Doors style at the same time. I've got this Gemini Funk set up to do that. I've got Gemini Piano. I have not set it up, but I've got it planned out. There's a lot of numbers to keep track of here. The preset button numbers, then the PC numbers in the preset list in the Gemini editor. So make sure you get all your numbers here, and there's also the CC numbers that are assigned to the effects. So here's what I did with the effects. These are the right 7 buttons, and these all work on the lower. The only thing that works on the upper are the left drawbars and the percussion and chorus vibrato buttons. What's great is for these EPs on the bottom, here's the clav. I have the ability to turn on the rotary in slow mode. I don't have a fast, slow switch for this. And what happens with that, that's not normally assigned, so you have to go find some MIDI numbers that aren't doing anything else. I went and found 40, and you can see these other effects are 41 through 45. But the rotary stop I kept, obviously, on the same number. I just assigned it to one of these buttons for lower so that I can have an EP with the rotary amp on stop mode. That sounds so weird, and I love it. The amp goes on and off on button number 13, and that is assigned to 41. There's the clav without the amp on. There we go. The tremolo is on button 14. The delay is on button 15. The phaser is on button 16, and the wah is on button 17. And now only the controls for the speed and depth are on the drawbars, which I'll show you in a minute. The pots, I have the upper volume to the far left, lower volume just after it. And then the amp EQ, I wish I could have got the middle on here too, but I was able to get at least the treble and the bass to the 2 middle pot. This clav has a lot of high ends, so I like to cut it out. And turn up the bass on the clav amp. The drive for the lower is on the far right 6. The drive for the upper is on 5, and both the rotary drive and the amp drive are assigned to the same one. You look here in my effects, you can see I've got drive for the rotary assigned to 8 and drive for the amp assigned to 8 because I don't use them together. I just use one or the other. I can't imagine why you would plug something into an amp and then mic it out into a Leslie. That seems a little overdone. The upper drawbars are just regular old Hammond drawbars, Vox drawbars, and these synth parameters that I showed in my previous video. I have the lower drawbars, the bass drawbars, working on the clav pickup switches, so that's pretty cool. The first 4 drawbars in the lower manual are doing double duty. What I did with my clav preset was I turned on the EQ bypass. Rather, I turned it off. So I don't have any onboard EQ on the clav, just the built-in switches. And they are assigned to the first 4 drawbars on the lower manual. But on my electric pianos, Here's my Wurlitzer preset. EQ's on. So I can adjust these first 4 drawbars to create a more harmonious EQ here, just right on the fly. And that's pretty awesome to be able to do double duty like that. It's part of this math problem aspect of everything. The remaining lower drawbars control the clav mute slider. And then we've got tremolo, depth, and speed on 17. So here's a Rhodes with a little bit of tremolo. You can hear it kick on when I pull this out. Very much. The 18th drawbar also controls delay time because I don't think I'll use tremolo and delay too much together. So, fun, you can pull the drawbar out. Phaser, depth, and speed are on 19 and 20. So, I've got a little bit of phaser on here. We're going to increase that depth and that speed. This is also doing double duty because I did not think I would use wah and the phaser at the same time. So the wah sensitivity is also on drawbar 20. Here it is on auto wah with just a hair. And then you can turn it up all the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few changes to make this Gemini piano. I apologize for the angle of my head, but let me show you some of what I'm talking about with this preset. We've got some really greasy Hammond on the top with some really dry clav on the bottom. Oh, that's nice and dry and greasy. Let's make the Hammond a lot more soulful, and let's get a nice mellow Rhodes to go with that. Oh, cool, but you know what we could do? We could also turn that Hammond back to greasy and put it with a little wah clav. Oh, you know what we could do? We could keep this wah clav and put a little bit of synth. Just for kicks, let's turn up the distortion on the clav. Let's turn off the oscillator sync. And detune it a little bit. And of course, where would we be without some Vox and Rhodes Doors style? wait, why don't we put a phaser on that, Rhodes? That just seems like too delicious not to. And while we're at it, why don't we put some delay on that as well? Let's turn the vibrato off on the Vox and turn up some drive. There you go, some really cool combinations you can get with that particular setup.